I recently helped one of my clients generate over 100,000 subscribers in less than 4 months by simply improving their YouTube scripts. No thumbnail changes, no crazy editing. I just use simple and proven script writing techniques that I've developed after generating over 12 million views for my clients on YouTube. So in this video, I thought I'd reveal 33 of my best script writing techniques to help you speed up your workflow and help you get more views and subscribers. I'm gonna lay these out following the entire script writing process from start to finish so that you can revisit this video next time you're staring at a blank Google Doc wondering what to write next. So we're gonna start with what I like to call the foundation, which is what you should be doing before you even think about writing your script. So the first tip is to pick the right video idea. And this is because your script can only be as good as the video idea you pick. A bad idea equals a bad script. So an easy way that you can instantly improve your video ideas is by simply creating something called an outlier. So these are videos that have basically performed above average for either your channel or a competitor channel. So for example, Mr. Beast has used this exact strategy on this video right here. So although this is basically stealing, and I wouldn't recommend copying at this level, it does clearly prove the point that I'm trying to make. So as you can see, he's used the core idea of this video and recreated it for his own channel, and it's helped him produce 255 million views, which is 2 times above his channel's average view count. And this is because outlier videos have something special about them, and you can use them as inspiration to then create your own videos that have a much higher chance of performing well. So this is one of my favorite tools to find outlier examples, and it's called 1 out of 10. So basically it allows you to quickly search through thousands of outliers that are related to your niche or in completely random niches that you can then repackage for your own videos. So this is the exact tool that I use to help one of my clients generate their second best performing video ever. So if you're interested in using this tool for yourself, then I'll leave a link in the description. But finding great video ideas is only half the battle when it comes to writing great scripts. If you truly want to learn how to write scripts that captivate an audience, then you need to know who you're speaking to. So the best way to do this is by creating something like this. This is my audience avatar research document. And it gives me deep insights into exactly who I'm talking to in my scripts. So it includes things like my audience demographics, what pain points they're struggling with, what desired outcomes they're struggling with, who are my top competitors. And what this does is it gives me a deep insight into who this audience is and how to write scripts that they actually want to watch. Now, if you want access to this document for free, then click the link below and join the waitlist to my AI script writing course. Here, you'll not only get access to this document completely for free, but you also get 6 modules in how to turn this document into a fully written script in record speed using AI. Like I said, it's 100% free. So if you are interested, like I said, the link is in the description. Okay, so once you have your viral video idea and you know exactly who your target audience is, next you want to base your entire video around solving one major pain point. So I really like this video because it's a perfect example. It instantly calls out a major pain point, which makes me want to click and watch because it's something that I'm struggling with. I'm fat and I want to get lean. So that's why this video speaks to me. Okay, I'm not that fat, but who doesn't want to get more shredded? But if it said something super vague like, here's how to get super healthy, that's just way too vague and I wouldn't click. So if you're creating educational content, this is exactly how you want to structure your videos. Once you've found your video idea, you want to find a burning pain point that relates to that video idea that your audience is obviously struggling with. You want to call it out in your title and thumbnail, and then obviously throughout your video. And then your entire video should just be based around solving this problem. This is one of the most effective ways to structure your video. It's going to make sure that your videos, like I said, are speaking to your audience and providing solutions that they actually care about. Okay, so once you've told people that they're fat or that they're ugly, next you need to come up with 3 to 5 topic points to help them solve this problem, which is going to form the base of your entire content. All right, so there's a bunch of ways that you can come up with topics for your videos, but one of my favorite ways is by using a little insider tool by YouTube that not many people know about that gives me ideas that my audience is already interested in. All right, so what you want to do is come over to YouTube and type in the rough title idea of your video, and then you want to look for the most viral video based around that title. So for me, I've just used the previous example with Joe Delaney. And then what you want to do is you can come over here and scroll along the timeline. You can see these little mountains. So what these mountains are telling you is they're telling you the most watched parts of the video. And these mountains give us a really good idea on what our audience has already proven that they want to watch. So for example, in Joe's video right here, you can see these mountains. So in this part of the video, he's talking about how it's important to build muscle first, then try to get lean. So if I was recreating this video for my channel, I would take this information that the audience really likes, the tip that, you know, you should build muscle first, then get lean, and I would either expand that into an entire video, or I would just go deeper into that when I share that in one of my sections. But here's the key: you don't just want to copy the exact same information. You do have to either come at it from a new angle or go way deeper than the inspiration video. Otherwise, people are going to be like, I've already heard all this before, and they're going to skip over it. So now that you know how to find great content topics for your video, they're going to make your audience sexually aroused. Next, you want to find a proven format so that you can present this information in the most engaging way possible. Which leads me to the next part of the script writing process. Now, the next part of the script writing process is learning how to plan and outline your video. And the first tip for this section is to follow a viral format. So it literally used to take me 30 hours to write a single bloody YouTube script, but thanks to the good Lord, I eventually discovered this framework right here. So thanks to this structure right here, I now write scripts in less than half the time. This is because following a viral format gives your script flow, and you don't go off on random tangents and have to rewrite your script 5,000 times. Now you can either follow this structure right here. This is tailored to educational channels. But if you want a full tutorial on that, you can go on my channel. I've created a full script writing tutorial that breaks down this exact format. Or if you're not in the educational niche and you're creating documentaries on entertainment channels, then what you can do is you can use your competitor videos and pull out structures that you can then use to create your own videos. So to do this, you simply head to their channel and then look for, their most popular videos. You want videos that have been posted within about the last year. And then you just want to go through the video and break each section down and look for what structure are they using. Then you want to note that in a Google Doc, and then that forms the basis of content for your own videos. Then once you have your structure all planned out in a nice Google Doc, then you're ready for the next tip, which is outlining your video. So this short 10-minute exercise will help you write scripts much faster because they're going to be optimized for retention. So what you want to do is you want to plan out each topic point that you're going to talk about in your video. Now, like I said, depending on what structure, that's going to look a little different for everyone. But as you can see from my structure right here, this is how I dot point out or create the outline of my own videos. So for example, you can see here for topic 1, it's dunk your face in water, stop eating chocolate cake, and get on the treadmill. This is for a video about how to get abs. So I've just planned out exactly the 3 topic points that I plan to cover in the video. Now, the reason I do this is because by mapping out each topic point, I get a bird's eye view of what I'm going to be writing about in my script. I'm going to make sure that they're all ordered in a way that logically flows and is engaging for the audience. Then once I have the outline of my content, I then move on to the next tip, which is to dot point out your script. So this should look something like this right here. And you want to plan out where you're going to put things like open loops, personal stories, facts, before you even think about writing a drop of ink. Trust me, this is a super important part of the script writing process. You definitely don't want to skip this part, especially if you want to turn something like this into an AI written script, which if you do, I actually have a free course that I'm creating. You can join the waitlist in the description below, where I'm going to show you exactly how to turn this dot pointed outline into a script that you can then use to create your own YouTube videos. But the truth is, any pleb can use these tips to map out their script. It only takes about 2 brain cells to follow all the tips I've shared up until this point. But here's where things get super interesting. Now I want to go a little deeper and share a few quick psychological tips I use to make my scripts more engaging that you should be thinking about when you're dot pointing out your scripts. So the first thing is that I always make big promises. People love results. That's exactly why they're watching your video. So whether that be in my hook or throughout my video, I constantly like to remind people of the big results they're going to get if they keep watching. So for example, I used this about 30 seconds ago in this part of the script right here. I put a one-liner that promised what you were going to get if you continue to watch this tip. which was that, you're going to write your scripts much faster. Now, obviously, you only want to make promises that you can back up. Don't go promising people a Lambo if you're only driving a Camry. But for every new topic that I introduce in my video, like I shared before in my outline, I always promise big results first, or almost always. This makes sure that I'm reminding people, like I said, of why they should be watching this tip and what they're going to get out of it. This really helps to boost retention. So that might have been a tip that you've already heard before. So now let's go a little deeper and I'll share how to make your big promises even more irresistible. And that's to offer new and unique solutions. So viewers will always click and watch your videos if you offer new and unique solutions that they've never heard before. So in this video right here, Jeff is not only making a big promise, which is get abs in 60 days, but he's also teasing unique solutions. So he's known for being on the cutting edge of science when it comes to getting results in the gym. So when people see using science, people will click and watch because they're expecting some unique or new cutting edge information from Jeff. When you're dot pointing out your script, you want to ask yourself, is this topic point that I'm talking about right now new and unique? And does it also help to forward solving the big problem or the main problem that I'm talking about in the video? If it doesn't, then you probably want to look for a new topic because this is going to hurt retention if you're covering things that people have already heard about in your niche. Now, if for whatever reason you can't find a new topic point for that section of your video, don't worry, there's a little lazy way to kind of still make your content sound new and unique. And that's by simply giving your topics or solutions a unique name. So one of my favorite examples of a guy that does this really well is someone called Rian Doris. He doesn't post anymore, don't know why, but this video is a perfect example. So you can see that his unique name or topic in this video is science-based workspace. So this is basically just a fancy word for saying being organized. Now, if he just said, this organized setup will change your life, that sounds super boring. Science-based workspace is way more exciting. So chances are, if, like I said, this organized setup will change your life, you wouldn't have clicked the video. It's only because of this unique sounding name that kind of gets your attention that you actually click the video. Now, although this is the title of his video, he uses the same principle when introducing new topics throughout his video. He gives them new and unique, interesting names that hook the viewer. So, for example, instead of saying, hey, the first topic I want to talk about is how to improve your organization. If he said, the first topic I want to talk about is how to create a science-based workspace, how much more interesting does that sound? So if you can't find a new and unique topic point for that section of your video, just give it a unique name. I would rip the hell out of this strategy because it works extremely well. I've personally used it multiple times. When you just can't find something new or exciting to kind of share in this part of the video, you can just give it a unique name and explain it in a little different way that people may not have heard before. And it's an extremely effective way to make sure your video still sounds fresh, new, and exciting. Okay, so the next tip when you're dot pointing your script is to always make sure that you're including actionable lessons. So if you don't give actionable lessons in your content, you're actually going to piss people off. People want simple and actionable steps to help solve their problems. So as you can see from the video structure that I use, I always try to include these actionable advice sections for each topic that I'm covering. This increases the value of my videos and hopefully will get you guys coming back and watching more because you're getting actionable advice that you can actually apply to your own videos. Another thing I like to think about when I'm dot pointing my scripts is what stories I can include. Now, I don't use this in every script that I write, but in a lot of the scripts I write, I like to tell stories in between the topic point and the actionable lesson. This just draws the audience in and adds personality to the scripts. Now, if you're in the writing space, there's a ton of talk about storytelling, but the big question is how do you actually write great stories? Well, it's pretty simple, and it actually leads me into the next tip that I want to share with you, which is read this book. So this one little book right here helped me create this video right here, which is currently at 1.3 million views and has performed 17 times better than my client's average video. In my opinion, this is by far the best book on storytelling because it teaches you the formula behind blockbuster Hollywood films. Without this formula, there would be no Harry Potter, no Frodo, and definitely no Daenerys Targaryen. And the best part about reading this book is that you'll then be able to watch Netflix and movies completely guilt-free, which leads me into the next tip that I want to share with you, which is to watch more movies. Once you've been blessed with the esoteric wisdom from Save the Cat, I highly recommend that you go and sit and watch movies and Netflix TV shows and decode the strategies they're using. I want you to really pay attention to how they introduce problems, create tension, and then create satisfying resolutions. This is a critical part to storytelling, and if you understand the techniques they're using, you'll become an extremely good storyteller. In fact, if you study these techniques hard enough, you'll unlock your chakras and develop magical writing abilities. But if right now you're overwhelmed with all the tips that I've shared up until this point, don't worry, this is all completely normal. I felt the exact same way 3 years ago when I started writing, which is exactly why I created my free AI script writing course, so that beginners have a clear and structured way to be able to create scripts much faster than what it used to take me. I do say this in the course, it's not going to teach you how to write scripts in 5 minutes, but it's definitely going to speed up the process and just teach you the process of how to write a script. So like I said, if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description to the waitlist. But one thing that's actually really helped me understand all these crazy techniques, especially when AI started to come out, was learning how to use AI to actually decode a lot of these techniques. So I developed a bit of a technique. So if I learned a new framework or storytelling technique, like the ones that you're about to learn if you read Save the Cat, then what I'd do is I'd actually take that technique and plug it into AI and get it to explain it to me. I'd simply just type in a prompt like this: can you explain to me, insert the technique at a 5th grade reading level, give me clear examples so it's easy to understand. Then I would simply go back and forth with the AI until I fully understand the concept. This was a game changer. It helped me break down complex frameworks and techniques into something that was super easy to understand. Okay, so by this point you have a fully dot-pointed script that's optimized for attention, which is going to save you a bunch of time when you actually sit down to write. So now all we have to do is simply connect the dots. So let's start with the hook, and I'll share some critical tips when writing your hook that'll make sure you grab attention in that critical first 5 to 30 seconds. So in this section, I'm actually going to break down and share tips from a hook that I actually wrote that produced a 20x outlier for one of my clients, so that you can get a full understanding of exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so the first step is to call out the pain point that you hopefully shared in your title or thumbnail. So what you have to understand is that your viewer is clicking your video because of some promise that you've made in your title and thumbnail, and it's highly likely that you've either promised to solve a problem or promised to reveal some sort of valuable information. So you want to make sure that in your hook or the start of the hook, you immediately call out this problem or promise, so that you're reminding your audience of the reason why they clicked the video, and they don't just go, oh, this video is nothing to what I expected it to be, and then go watch something else. So for example, in this hook right here, which like I said, produced a 20x outlier, I'm basically just calling out the problem that we promised to solve in the title and thumbnail, which was how to get more views and subscribers, basically. So let me just read it. So if you're struggling to get more than 100 views on your videos and you feel like the algorithm is ignoring your channel, then I have some exciting news. So calling out the problem, struggling to get more than 100 views and you feel like the algorithm is ignoring your channel, teasing a solution right here. So like I shared previously, next you want to make sure in your hook you're teasing unique information. So as you can see here, I said, I've just discovered 2 small channels that use a secret hack to beat the YouTube algorithm and get hundreds of thousands of views on their first few videos. So as you can see, by teasing this unique solution, we're driving up curiosity in the viewer's mind because they're now excited about what this secret hack is and how they can use it to help them get more views and subscribers. All right, so the next step after teasing a unique solution is to provide proof. So providing proof in your hook, this is going to make sure that you actually sound credible and that you also develop authority, which is super important in grabbing your audience's attention. So if we jump back to our example, you can see here that I've added in proof. Basically, I've said that Jenny Horris used this exact strategy to go from 0 to averaging 60 million views per YouTube short. Now, if you don't know who Jenny Horris is, she's a crazy viral YouTube shorts creator that's generated something over like 1 billion views. So when you hear this in the hook, you go, wow, okay, so if Jenny's using this, then it must be something that works. Let me keep listening. All right, so the next tip when writing your hook is to promise big results. So when you're promising big results, the way to do this is it's pretty simple. All you have to do is promise what specific results your audience can expect if they implement everything in your video. So as you can see in this example, I've promised big results by saying, you'll not only get more views, but you'll get monetized much faster than the average channel. All right, so if you followed these 4 steps, you'll have a super strong hook. You've called out a problem that the audience cares about, you've teased a unique solution, you've provided proof that the solution works, and you've promised big results if they implement it. But there's one thing that I see a ton of creators screwing up when it comes to writing their hooks, and it absolutely kills the excitement of their video. And it's all because they kill the mystery of their video, which leads me to the next tip when writing your hook, which is keep the mystery of your video. And what I mean by that is don't just reveal the whole bag of what your entire video is going to be about in the first 30 seconds. Otherwise, people don't have a reason to keep watching. So for example, if we jump back to this hook that I wrote here, if I revealed the secret hack to beat the YouTube algorithm within the first 30 seconds of the video, then people wouldn't have had a reason to watch all the way until the end. So don't reveal your solution in the first 30 seconds. You want to slowly reveal it throughout your video so that everyone doesn't pack up and go, well, I've got everything I need, and then go and watch the next video. Okay, so that covers everything about hook writing. So now let's dive into some of my favorite tips on how to craft the perfect body section to help boost the retention of your videos. So copywriting is simply the art of salesmanship in the written word. It's 100% the oil that runs the entire internet. It's my superpower. It's the omega skill that's helped me generate millions of views for my clients. In fact, I've studied a bunch of creators in the past 3 years, and I can tell you right now, there's a large majority of these people that have a copywriting background in some shape or form, because it's such a powerful tool when it comes to grabbing attention online and converting that attention. So if you want to learn it fast, I highly recommend that you check out a guy called Kyle Milligan on YouTube. He has simple and easy breakdowns of how copywriting works. And if you just study this skill for at least 1 hour per week, I'm telling you right now, you're going to be able to write insane scripts. But not only that, it'll improve your thumbnails, it'll improve your titles, it'll improve basically all aspects of creating videos on YouTube. But now let's talk about how to actually write your body sections. And the first thing I always like to start with is learning how to write what I like to call rehooks. So rehooks are these small paragraphs that go before the topic point that you're talking about in your video. We talked about the 3 to 5 topic points previously. You want to put a rehook before each of these 3 to 5 topic points. Basically, the rehook is there to recapture your audience's attention and prevent them clicking off your video. It's not complicated. All you're doing is simply reminding them of why they should keep watching, and I've done it countless times throughout this video that you're watching right now. So if you've noticed that pretty much before each tip that I'm sharing, I'm telling you how the next tip is going to speed up or make your scripts better. All this does is remind you of why you should keep watching and not go and watch something else. Now, rehooks can definitely help your audience keep watching, but in my opinion, where most creators go wrong when writing their body sections is how they structure each point. So it's super important that when you're introducing and talking about each of your points, that you add in the what, why, and how. So generally speaking, you always want to explain what the technique, information, or solution is. You want to make sure that you're explaining the why. Why is it important that they learn this or listen to this technique if they want to solve their problems? And then you want to give the how, give actionable takeaways on how they can use this technique to solve the problem that you're talking about in the video. So the reason you always want to include the what, why, and how in your topic points is because it follows the logical thinking of the human brain. It's going to make sure that your audience clearly understands everything you're talking about and isn't left feeling like there's something missing. All right, the next tip I want to talk about to improve your body scripts is to add in facts and proof. So one thing small creators can really struggle with in the beginning is a lack of credibility, people wondering who the fuck they are. So this can absolutely tank your attention because your audience is sitting there thinking, who the fuck is this dweeb talking to me right now? This little tip by adding in facts can really help to boost the credibility of your videos, even if you have a serial killer mustache and you look like you're 12 years old. So the easiest way to think about this is whenever you make some big claim, always make sure that you back it with some kind of proof, whether that be a personal story, whether that be a scientific study, or even a quote from a celebrity in your niche. In fact, this is one of the best techniques that small creators are using right now to explode the growth of their channels, even when no one knows who the fuck they are. So all they're doing is simply borrowing credibility from celebrities in their niche. So for example, I did it for this video right here. So even though I look like a 12-year-old serial killer, this video has, done not too bad for a brand new channel. And it's all because I simply borrowed the credibility of Mr. Beast.
Nice.
Okay, so once you've learned how to establish credibility, the next challenge is then how to make your content sound natural and authentic. This is something I'm still working on, but one of the tips that's really helped me is to learn to write like you talk. So this tip is actually extremely helpful. All you're doing is simply picturing a friend that's sitting in front of you, and as you're writing, you're pretending like you're talking to them. Obviously, you want to make sure that there's someone that would be interested in your content, but this really just helps you write in a natural conversational way. So another really great tip to make your content sound more natural is when you're writing your scripts, you want to try and read your scripts out loud. So this will help smooth out your script, so when you do go to sit down, your content just rolls off the tongue and you don't get all twisted up. All right, so the next tip to writing powerful body sections is to remove junk words. So this is another great tip that's going to make your script not only easier to read for you, but also make better sense for your audience. All right, so let me just read this example and everything should make complete sense. So I was thinking that maybe we could possibly go down to that restaurant downtown, the one with the really good food that everyone talks about, for dinner tonight, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of junk words in there, and once we remove them, it's going to sound something like this. Let's have dinner tonight at that popular downtown restaurant tonight. So all you want to remember is that when you're reading through and editing your script, if there's something you can remove, if there's a sentence, even if there's an entire paragraph that you can remove and your main point still makes sense, cut it. All right, the next tip is to dumb everything down. So most people have a 5th grade reading level. So what this means is that if your scripts are higher than this, then you risk confusing your audience, which is going to massively hurt your attention. So to check your reading score, a really great way is to head to this website. It's called Hemingway app. And basically what you want to do is come in and copy and paste your entire transcript or, whatever script you're writing, and check what reading score you're getting. This is going to tell you, you're at a grade 6 or grade 10 or whatever. It also gives you a bunch of suggestions on how to reduce your reading score. But like I said, you want to aim between a 5th to 7th grade. That's kind of what I aim for. And another really great tip, if you are at a super high readability score, something like a grade 8, you can run it back through ChatGPT and just ask it for suggestions on how to reduce your readability score. All right, so now that your content is simple and easy to understand, next we want to make it flow seamlessly from each of your topic points. And the way you do this is by using something called bridging sentences. So this is a screenplay technique. It's going to give your content that smooth and professional feel. So between each of your topic points, you simply want to link to the last point and then introduce the new point that you're talking about. So for example, it can be as simple as, now that you know how to grab attention, let's talk about how to keep it. So these little sentences just keep your scripts flowing, which we know is super important to retention. You don't want to have, big breaks in your content that make your audience have to think, or how does that connect to the last point? You want to have smooth transitions so that you keep people super engaged. All right, so another really great way to keep your audience engaged and so they don't click off because they're feeling confused is to make sure that you're using analogies. So if you're writing a script that requires some complex explanations, you really need to make sure that you're using analogies and metaphors to break things down and relate it back to something that the audience already understands. So the way I like to do this is to provide the most simple explanation possible, which is the what, and then provide a analogy and relate it to something that the audience already understands. So let me just read this example and hopefully everything should make sense. So let's say the topic is compound interest. The simple explanation is compound interest is when you earn interest on both your original investment and on the interest you've already earned. And then the simple analogy is it's like a snowball rolling down the hill. It starts small but gets larger with each rotation as it picks up more snow. So compound interest, kind of a complex topic, but by relating it to, a snowball rolling down a hill, which is obviously something super easy to understand, it helps just to clear up, what I'm trying to explain or what I mean when I'm talking about compound interest. Okay, so my last tip on writing body sections to maximize retention just before we move on is one that's completely random, but trust me, don't knock it until you try it. So I call it coffee cycling. So this little hack right here helps me bust out scripts super fast, especially those thick body parts where I'm just like, man, I just want to gouge my eyes out with a spoon right now. So what I do is I simply don't drink coffee until I have big blocks of writing to complete. So for example, let's say I have, 2 scripts coming in and I know that they're coming in on Wednesday and Thursday. I won't drink coffee at the start of the week so that on those days when I have that first sip, and I'm on fire and I just bust through scripts super fast. So I know this is going to be difficult for a lot of you, but I highly recommend having a break from coffee for 1 to 2 weeks and then only drinking coffee 1 to 2 times per week when you have those massive writing tasks to get done, because it's going to make you insanely productive on those days. So that's all the tips for writing your body section. So now let's get on to the final part of the script writing process, which is refining and finalizing your script. And the first tip for finalizing editing your script is making sure at the end of your videos, you're always using something called binge loops. All right, so binge loops are simply a 3-part paragraph that helps to either keep people on our channel or push them to some product or service that we're selling. So how it works is pretty simple. You simply link back to the script, you introduce a new problem, and then you promise to solve that problem in the next video or in your product or service. All right, so here's a simple example that I used for one of my recent videos. So as you can see, I've linked and called out a new problem, and then I've promised to solve the problem. I've chosen in this example to solve it with a product, but you can also, like I said, promise to solve it in a video that's already on your channel. This is going to get people continually watching the videos on your channel and increasing your average view duration. All right, so let me just read this example so that everything makes sense. But what's the point of knowing all this if you don't know how to apply it to your own videos, and where do you even start? So as you can see, I've linked back by saying, what's the point of knowing all the stuff that I've just shared in this previous part? And then I've introduced a new problem by saying, where do you even start with all this information? How do you actually then go and apply it? This is creating a new problem, a desire to then obviously solve that problem, and then I'm going to promise to solve it. Well, I personally believe the best place to start is by learning to write powerful hooks, because this is going to help you understand the psychology behind what drives everything I've just covered today. So if you're interested, I actually have a full hook writing training that helps you understand the psychology in 4 simple steps. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. So super simple. At the end of your video, in the last 15 to 30 seconds, you want to put binge loops to either promote your products or other videos on your channel. All right, so the last script writing technique is to edit like a madman. And I love this quote from Mr. Hemingway: "The only kind of writing is rewriting." All right, so I'm of the same opinion as Mr. Hemingway right here. I believe the magic in writing comes in the editing stage. In my opinion, it's no different to creating a beautiful piece of furniture. You start with a rough piece of wood, turn it into the whatever structure you want to create, but it's in the, polishing stages, in the editing stages, where it goes from a scrappy piece of wood into a beautiful piece of art. So up until this point with your script, you've done all the rough work, but now it's time to sand it back, add that beautiful finishing polish, and turn it into a masterpiece. So the way to do this is, once you've pumped out your first draft, you want to comb through it at least 20 to 30 times. This is what I personally do, and you want to make little tweaks as you're reading through, because if you read it out loud, like I shared in one of my tips before, you're going to kind of find where it sounds clunky, where it doesn't make sense. You want to just keep going through, editing and editing until it sounds perfect and it sings like a beautiful song. Now, if you've got to the end of this video and you're still feeling a little overwhelmed with how to write a great script, don't stress. Like I shared earlier, I'm actually releasing a free AI script writing course where I'm going to show you exactly how to turn all the information that we've shared today into a fully written script using AI. So in this course, I break everything down start to finish. I actually write a full AI script myself, so you can simply just follow along as you're writing your own script. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description, like I said, where you can sign up to the waitlist and you'll be the first to know when the course drops. But failing that, I'll see you in the next video.